Hello and welcome to Maltbox, the non-chill filtered whiskey blog. I'm Andy and this is Whiskey Review number 90. What I have for you today is an Irish whiskey, a very popular Irish whiskey, and it comes in the form of this. Redbreast 12-year-old single pot still Irish whiskey. Now, as you can probably tell, my surroundings have changed yet again. Again, I'm moving around the house trying to record where I can. The basement works are no longer continuing for the obvious reasons that are also keeping everybody, apart from our key workers, indoors. So yeah, make do and whatnot. Those are the times that we're living in. So, Redbreast 12, there's the bottle as well. I might as well show you that. A very, very popular single pot still Irish whiskey from Middleton, which is also the same stable as Jameson. So, what is single pot still? Well, it shares a lot of similarities with single malt, in the sense that in order to be defined as single pot still, it has to be distilled at one distillery. And also the mash makeup, should I say, the mash makeup is slightly different in the sense that it contains both unmalted and malted barley. And the unmalted aspect is supposedly giving it a little bit more of a spicy, bitter profile. That's kind of out for debate, really, I think. So this particular bottling is a 12-year-old single pot still Irish whiskey. It is, unfortunately, bottled at 40%. Redbreast 12 is matured in a combination of ex-bourbon and ex-sherry casks. I can't remember for the life of me if it's got added colour. Not sure, can't remember. I could Google it, but I'm doing the review, so it's too late for that. So this retails for around £45, but you can pick it up for cheaper. For example, I picked this up on Amazon just after Christmas for £35, which, to be fair, is kind of a steal, really, considering it usually retails for £10 more than that. There's your colour there. I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time on it because, again, it might have added colour. I genuinely can't remember, and I do apologise, guys, that is my fault. A distinct lack of research, but again, as I always reiterate, I'm a complete and utter novice. Been drinking whiskey since 2006, when I was in college, drinking supermarket value bottom shelf blends, and I mean the value ones like Tesco Value, Asda Smart Price, Sainsbury's Basics. That's what got me into whiskey, if you can believe it. I will go into more detail on that one day. But here we are. So, again, it's quite an iconic bottle, really, this. It's probably one of the go-to single pot still whiskies, particularly with an age statement. I mean, I'm also known to be a bit of a dabbler when it comes to green spot and yellow spot, which come from the same stable again. You can see Middleton have, until now, a bit of a monopoly on the more popular Irish whiskey market. There's going to be several comments going, yeah, that's not right, but I mean, let's face it, there are a lot of recent additions that have become more popular, and there's been a few in the background that have been doing it for a few years as well, but you know, there's only a few now coming to the fore to compete against the big boys, which is great for the Irish whiskey scene. I think it's been a little bit stagnant, arguably. Again, potentially an unpopular opinion, but it's my opinion. On the nose, there is a spicy note to it. You know, undoubtedly there is a spicy note there. Ginger, brandy snaps. The sherry influence is there as well. Very sweet. Citrus, quite malty as well. Quite airy at the same time, however quite light. I mean, it's also worth mentioning this is triple distilled, as is a lot of Irish whiskey. The vast majority of Irish whiskey you will find is triple distilled, which only a handful of distilleries in Scotland tend to do. One of those that do it practically all the time is Auchentoshan. Sort of like digestive biscuits, some vanilla, a bit of pepper as well. So in the glass you might be able to see there's some nice quite thick tears going down there. So this is not my first bottle of Redbreast 12. I mean, you know, again, I have been drinking whiskey for a fair amount of time. Again, just to reiterate, I am no expert. I am not here to berate you and preach to you as to what you should buy and what you should spend your hard-earned money on. Yeah, this is my third-ish, maybe fourth bottle of Redbreast 12. I do generally tend to pick it up when it's on sale somewhere. I mean, it's recently gone through a little bit of a rebrand. It's not a rebrand as such. They just changed out. They just coloured the robin in on the front of it, to be honest. That's all they did. They just coloured him in. It used to be all very sort of like, you know, monotone label. Same bottle, same presentation. On the palate, quite a nice mouthfeel initially, but then it does fade quite quickly. The sherry notes are there on the palate as well. A very nice sort of luscious, sweet. There's almost a grapiness to it as well, actually. Again, spices, I'm thinking cinnamon. I've got rice pudding with vanilla flavours in there as well. Nutmeg on the top. A bit of jamminess, potentially. Like maybe strawberry jam. There is a woody, oaky influence in there, which, you know, you get that in pretty much all whiskies, let's face it. That's what the oak is there for, to impart its own story, its own impact, its own, you know, its own thing on the spirit. The one thing that disappoints me about Redbreast, and I might as well get it off my chest straight away, is when they bottle it at 40%. You'll see from previous reviews of whiskies, not just Irish whiskey, but just generally, that it really does kind of wind me up a little bit when people bottle things at 40% nowadays, particularly when, you know, the target market for this are whiskey drinkers. This is not going to be, for most people, this is not going to be their first bottle of Irish whiskey. If it is, then fair play to you. You started off in a good place. But let's face it, right? I think my first ever Irish whiskey was Jameson. It might even have been Bushmills original, to be honest. Sort of like, if we, you know, look at the general availability of Irish whiskey on the go-to websites or even Amazon, you're looking at things like, when you step up from your Jameson and your Bushmills original, you're looking at Redbreast 12, Green Spot, Yellow Spot, Powers, etc, etc. So they do release a cask strength version of Redbreast 12. So it's still 12 years old, it's Redbreast 12-year-old cask strength. However, whereas this official RRP is around 45 quid, for the 12-year-old cask strength it tends to vary between 75 to 85 pounds, or so I found, which is a massive step up in terms of price. A huge jump. 30 quid extra, that's another bottle of whiskey. Or it's a bottle of older whiskey from another distillery, not necessarily in Ireland. Really, really nice nose. Those spices are really, really at the forefront of the palate. You've then got butterscotch and toffee. maybe a little bit of milky coffee in there as well going into the finish. A little bit of spice. And again, that pepper from the nose. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's a really nice Irish whiskey. I do like Irish whiskey. I don't have as much of it as I have Scotch whiskey, because Scotch is my go-to. I have a fair bit of bourbon, an American whiskey, and English whiskey as well. And I think probably I don't have as much Irish as I should do, to be honest with you. In terms of this bottling and score, I'm going to give the Redbreast 12 a 6.5 out of 10. Yep, 6.5 out of 10. I think if it had that extra 6% in particular, because I have, just disclaimer, I have tried the cask strength version, and it is also a fantastic dram, and I think it really does add something of another dimension to this whiskey at the highest strength. So I can only imagine what 46% would do as a standard. I think it'd be a sweet spot, which is why a lot of bottlers and distilleries bottle at 46%. But for me, yeah, that's one of the things that's kind of like holding it back. I think the mouthfeel lets it down a little bit. Apart from that, depending on the colour front, which I will look into after this, I like to go into these things with an open mind first. It's quite well presented, readily available. Again, Master of Malt, Whisky Exchange, etc., the usual suspects, as well as Amazon.co.uk. So I'm just going to take the final few minutes, really, just to, I suppose it's a bit of a plug, really, which isn't something I usually do. But I've had the privilege of being asked to take part in the Somerton Virtual Whisky Festival, which is happening on the 30th of May. And this is a whisky festival, as it sounds, that has been presented virtually and has been organised by the Somerton Whisky Club. You don't have to be a member to buy tickets for this. You can just go on their website, somertonwhiskeyfestival.com, and pick up tickets, which I think are around £38 at the moment. And basically what this is, it is a true whisky festival. It is an online whisky festival with live video. You get sent samples of the whiskies that distilleries that have signed up to will be presenting on the day. You'll have a bit of banter from people like me, as well as Dan, who will be running it. And, you know, as well as the drams that will be sent to you, you also get some snacks, because let's face it, you get a bit peckish, don't you, when you've been drinking whiskey all day, as well as a couple of other refreshments as well, because I think there's going to be a couple of cocktail classes, which are going to be really cool, really nice varied event. We've already got quite a few distilleries signed up, and some of them are fantastic and really, really chuffed, to be honest, personally, from my point of view, that they've signed up. I'm a big fan of some of them. Others yet to delve into a little bit more, arguably. And that's happening on the 30th of May, so again, head over to the somertonwhiskeyfestival.com, have a look at that. It is a full day event. I think it starts at 12 PM GMT on the 30th of May, and then that goes all the way through to 10 PM. So it's a 10-hour whisky festival. It is like a proper whisky festival. So you have like the sort of like afternoon session and then the evening session. So apart from that, that's all. Thanks for watching. See you soon.